Hello everyone. I am Dreaming Stories and I am here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep. So before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, where are you from and what time are you watching? Now get comfortable and relax. The rehearsal should have been the easiest part of the day. Everyone was restless, buzzing, barely paying attention as Principal Darden droned through the order of names, the positioning of chairs, the walk across the stage, pause, shake hands, don't trip, lecture. No one cared. It was the very last day of school, the final flicker of a life we were desperate to shed. I remember watching the light catch on the polished wooden floor of the gymnasium, the way it shimmered under the fluorescent fixtures. The place had been our prison and our playground for 4 years, and we were hours away from leaving it behind. That thought carried all of us, through the boring repetition of cues. By the time we were dismissed, the sun had started dipping behind the row of maples at the edge of the parking lot, scattering their shadows across the cracked asphalt. Most of my classmates bolted the second we were told we could go. But not all of us. Somehow, 10 of us lingered. I can't tell you exactly why. Maybe it was nostalgia. Maybe it was dread. Maybe we wanted one last chance to soak in the place that had defined us, before life yanked us into something bigger and messier. There was me, obviously, Eli. Then there was Caroline, always with her camera slung around her neck. Tom and Jared, who were inseparable since freshman year. Maya, quiet, but sharp-eyed, who missed nothing. Alex, loud enough to rattle the lockers when he laughed. Juniper, who had dyed her hair a fresh violet for graduation. Andre, the class clown who pretended not to care about anything. Katie, who had gotten into Yale, and everyone knew it because she'd worked the announcement into every conversation for the past month. And finally, Nathan, my best friend since kindergarten. We clustered near the trophy case outside the gym doors, talking about nothing, college plans, summer jobs, which teachers we'd actually miss. The hall was unusually quiet, as if the walls themselves were listening. I want to walk the halls one last time, Caroline said suddenly. Alex groaned. We literally spent 4 years here. Haven't you seen enough lockers for a lifetime? But Caroline had already raised her camera and snapped a photo of us under the buzzing fluorescent lights. The flash startled me. For a split second, the whole hallway seemed too bright, like the light wasn't reflecting but seeping from the walls themselves. Come on, she urged. When else will we see this place like this? Empty. Ours. And so we went. The school felt different when it was empty. Our footsteps echoed too loudly against the tile. The air had that faint smell of wax and dust, the way it always did at the beginning of summer break, after the janitors had stripped the floors and polished them raw. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, faintly stuttering, though they'd been fine during rehearsal. What time is it? Jared asked at one point. 7:30, Nathan said, glancing at his phone. But when I looked at the clock above the library door, it read 4:12. The second hand twitched but never moved forward. I didn't say anything at first. Maybe the clock was broken. Schools always had at least one broken clock. But when we passed another, above the science wing, it was stuck at 4:12 too. Hey, Maya said softly, noticing. That's weird. We tried checking our phones. No signal. No Wi-Fi. The screens glared back at us like useless mirrors. Okay, this is creepy, Katie muttered, shoving hers into her pocket. Can we not turn this into a horror movie? But it already felt like one. We ended up in the library, because of course we did. It was the beating heart of the school, the place we'd all hidden at some point to cram for tests, print last-minute essays, or sneak naps. The computers were dark, though the monitors glowed faintly as if on standby. The air conditioning hummed too loudly. It was Caroline who found them, the yearbooks. At first, it seemed normal enough. Old copies were always kept on the back shelf, their spines peeling, gold letters fading. She pulled one out, brushing dust from the cover. Class of 1989, she read aloud. Wow. That's ancient. She flipped it open, camera dangling against her chest. But then her face froze. Guys, she whispered. We crowded around her. There, in glossy black and white, was a picture of our gymnasium. Our bleachers. Our banners. And sitting in the front row, smiling stiffly at the camera, was me. Not just someone who looked like me. Me. The hair, the jawline, even the way my tie was crooked. Caroline fumbled with the pages, flipping faster. Tom. Maya. Andre. Each of us, scattered across different pages, dressed in dated clothes but unmistakably ourselves. My stomach knotted. The air felt heavier, as though the walls had inhaled. That's, Alex started, but his voice cracked. That's some Photoshop prank. Has to be. These books are older than we are, Maya said quietly. Look. She pointed to the publication date. 1989. Her finger trembled. We didn't notice the first person vanish right away. It wasn't until we left the library and walked down toward the math wing that Jared asked, "Where's Juniper?" We all stopped. Looked around. She'd been with us. I was sure of it. She'd been laughing at Andre's impression of our chemistry teacher not 10 minutes ago. But she wasn't there anymore. Maybe she went to the bathroom, Nathan offered, though his voice was thin. Without saying anything, Katie asked. We retraced our steps. The halls were silent. The only sound was the buzz of the lights, the faint electric crackle that seemed louder now. When we passed room 214, Maya stopped. Listen. We pressed our ears against the door. Faintly, inside, someone was crying. It's her, Caroline whispered. Nathan rattled the handle. Locked. We pounded on the door, shouting her name. The crying didn't change. Didn't respond. Finally, Caroline tried peering through the window inset in the door. She gasped. What? I demanded. But when I looked through, the room was dark. Empty. No desks. No chairs. Just an endless stretch of shadow, swallowing itself. And the crying was still there. We backed away, hearts hammering. That's when the second clock caught my eye. Above the classroom door. It read 4:12. The second hand twitched. And then, slowly, it began ticking backward. We stumbled back from the door like it had burned us, the echo of Juniper's crying still stuck in our ears. That's not possible, Alex whispered. His voice, usually booming, was cracked down to a thread. It's some kind of recording. A trick. Then where is she? Maya snapped. No one answered. The hall stretched ahead, lockers lined like silent soldiers, every one of them shut. The fluorescent lights flickered again, off, then on. Just long enough for the shadows to lurch unnaturally across the tiles. Maybe we should go, Katie said. She was hugging her arms tight, her Yale confidence stripped away. Like, actually leave. Now. Yes, Andre agreed quickly. This place is, screw nostalgia, I'm out. We hurried down the corridor, shoes squeaking, hearts racing. The exit signs glowed red at the end of the hall like lifeboats in a storm. But when we reached the doors, shoved them open. Darkness. Not night. Not parking lot. Not even sky. Just void. A black so complete it looked like a wall painted with nothingness. The kind of darkness that made your brain scream it wasn't real, but your gut knew it was. Caroline raised her camera, the flash going off with a harsh pop. The white burst lit nothing. The void swallowed it whole. We slammed the doors shut. The hallway behind us hummed louder. "Okay," Nathan said, breathing fast. "Okay, it's fine. We go to the office, right? Call somebody. Get the custodian. There's always a custodian." His voice shook. He was trying to sound like the logical one, but I could see his hands trembling. "Phones don't work, genius," Alex muttered. "The office phone," Nathan shot back. None of us wanted to admit he might be right. We made our way to the main office. The carpeted floor muffled our footsteps now, but it didn't make me feel safer. If anything, it made me feel like something was listening, waiting. The reception desk was deserted. The lights flickered overhead. Katie grabbed the phone on the counter and pressed it to her ear. Static. She slammed it down and backed away, pale. "This isn't happening," she whispered. Andre forced a laugh, too loud. "Yeah, this is a prank. They're screwing with us. Seniors, right? Big final joke." "Then where the hell is Juniper?" Maya said. His laugh died in his throat. We regrouped near the office door. The silence pressed in, thick and suffocating. That's when Caroline tugged at my sleeve. "Eli," she whispered. "Look." On the secretary's desk, another yearbook. This one opened as if waiting. Class of 1972. And there she was. Juniper. Smiling in a sepia-toned photo, her violet hair reduced to a faint gray shadow in black and white. My stomach dropped. "No," Nathan muttered, backing away. "No, no, no." We flipped the pages frantically. More of us, scattered through the decades. Alex in 1964. Maya in 1978. Andre in 1982. Each of us had already been here. Already graduated. Caroline's hands shook as she turned another page. "It's like we've always been here." That's when the second one vanished. We didn't even notice right away, again. It was Alex this time. 1 second he was cursing at the book, his big hands trembling as he slammed it shut. The next, he was gone. The air where he'd stood seemed emptier, hollower. "Alex?" Nathan called. "Alex." We darted through the office, checking corners, opening doors. Nothing. Then, faintly, from the guidance counselor's room. Laughter. His laughter. But warped. Stretched like a tape slowed down. The doorknob rattled when Andre grabbed it. Locked. I didn't look through the window this time. I couldn't. The panic broke us then. Andre ran first, bolting down the hallway like a rabbit. Caroline chased after him, shouting his name. Katie clutched Maya's arm, dragging her toward the stairwell. Nathan grabbed me, pulling me toward the cafeteria. We split. That was the mistake. That's when it started taking them faster. Nathan and I stumbled into the cafeteria, breathless. The tables were folded up, the benches stacked. The whole place smelled faintly of bleach. "Okay," he gasped, pressing his hands against the wall. "Okay. We need to stick together. You and me. Always." His eyes were wild, but beneath it there was a plea. A child's desperation in the body of a near-adult. "Yeah," I said, grabbing his arm. "Together." The clock above the lunch line ticked. 4:12. Then, impossibly, the second hand leapt forward. And suddenly every clock we could see through the cafeteria doors ticked in unison, all at once, louder than thunder. Tick. 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 Nathan's grip on my wrist tightened. The cafeteria lights flickered, off, on, off again. And when they came back, he was gone. I was alone. The school hummed louder, like it was breathing, satisfied. And I knew, deep in my marrow, in a way that wasn't thought but instinct, that the building didn't want us to leave. It never wanted anyone to leave. It kept us. And now it had me. The silence after Nathan disappeared was unbearable. I shouted his name until my throat scraped raw, but the cafeteria swallowed my voice. The air felt heavier now, like the school itself was pushing down on me, whispering that I should stop resisting. The tables loomed in rows like gravestones. Every chair stacked neatly, perfectly, too perfectly. I stumbled backward, trying to orient myself, my heart thudding so hard it felt like it might tear through my ribs. My foot struck something. I looked down. A yearbook. Open to a page I didn't want to see. There was Nathan, smiling stiffly in a black and white photo, captioned Class of 1993. I snapped the book shut with trembling hands and shoved it under a table as if hiding it could change what it meant. The hallway outside the cafeteria stretched forever. The exit signs still glowed red, but they seemed further away than before, like the building was stretching itself, reshaping. And then, voices. Familiar. I froze, straining to hear. Eli. It was Caroline. Her voice echoed faintly down the corridor. Relief flooded me. I ran, shoes squealing against tile, until I saw her rounding the corner with Maya and Katie. They looked shaken but whole. "Where's Nathan?" Maya asked immediately. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. My throat closed on the words. The look in my eyes must have been enough. Maya's face fell. Caroline covered her mouth. Katie turned away, pressing her fists to her forehead. "He's gone," I managed at last, the word a blade on my tongue. We huddled together, for survivors in an endless labyrinth. Caroline's camera swung against her chest. She hadn't taken a photo in a while, and I was grateful. Every flash felt like it woke the school, made it hungrier. "We can't split up again," Maya said firmly. "That's how it gets us." "Gets us?" Katie snapped. "You say that like the school is alive." "Look around," Maya hissed, pointing upward. The fluorescent lights above us flickered in rhythm with her words, buzzing louder with every syllable. "You think this is coincidence?" Katie didn't answer. We decided to head for the auditorium. Maybe because it felt open, or maybe because we thought if there was an end to this nightmare, it would be where everything had started, the stage where we were supposed to graduate. The hallways grew stranger as we walked. Posters on the walls changed when you glanced away, 1 second advertising prom in pastel letters, the next proclaiming Go Eagles. 1976 regional champions. In blocky print. Lockers opened a crack as we passed, though no one touched them. Inside, faint rustling, like paper shifting, or breathing. At one point, Caroline raised her camera and clicked. The flash revealed dozens of faces staring from the darkness of classroom windows. Faces that weren't there when the light returned. The auditorium doors loomed at the end of the hall, their brass handles dulled with age. We pushed them open together. The vast room yawned before us, shadows stretching across the rows of seats. The stage glowed faintly under the stage lights, though no one had turned them on. And on the stage sat a stack of yearbooks. Neatly arranged. Waiting. "Don't," Katie whispered, gripping Caroline's arm before she could step forward. "Don't touch them." But Caroline was already moving, camera raised. She couldn't help herself. "Caroline, stop," I said, but she ignored me. She reached the stage, leaned down, and brushed her hand across the top book. The lights flickered. For a split second, I saw the audience filled with students. Not living ones, faded, translucent, dressed in the fashion of every decade since the school opened. They stared at us with hollow eyes, silent, waiting. When the light steadied, the seats were empty again. Caroline had gone still on stage, her hand resting on the book. "Caroline," Maya whispered. She turned. Her face was pale, drained. And then, like a puppet on strings, she smiled too wide, lips trembling. "This is our last day," she said in a voice not quite hers. "We get to relive it forever." The lights went out. When they flickered back, Caroline was gone. The book she had touched lay open. Class of 1957. Her smiling face stared up at us from a yellowed page. Katie screamed. Maya grabbed her and pulled her back, her own hands shaking. I couldn't move. I just stared at the photo, at Caroline's eyes frozen in monochrome. "We're not getting out," Katie sobbed. "We're not, we're next." "Yes, we are," Maya snapped, pulling her toward the door. Her voice shook, but her resolve held. "We're getting out. We have to." I followed because what else could I do? But in my gut, I already knew. The school had us. And it wasn't done yet. The auditorium doors slammed shut behind us with a force that rattled the frames. Katie yelped and stumbled into Maya, who cursed under her breath. I didn't dare turn around to see if the doors had locked. We ran. The hallways bent in ways they never had before. Where there should have been a stairwell, there was only another corridor, lined with identical classroom doors, each with their narrow rectangular windows blacked out from the inside. Katie clutched my arm, her nails digging in. "We're not gonna make it, Eli. We're not." "Shut up," Maya hissed. "Don't say it. Don't think it. That's what it wants." Katie sobbed, covering her mouth. We pressed forward, our footsteps echoing in sync like some terrible ritual. The buzzing of the lights followed us, growing louder with each step, like a hive waking. At last, we spilled into the gymnasium. It looked almost normal, bleachers pushed back, stage set up for tomorrow's ceremony, folding chairs in neat rows. For a moment, I almost convinced myself it was just the school we knew again. Just an empty gym. Then I looked closer. Each folding chair had a yearbook resting on the seat. Hundreds of them. And every single one was open to a photo of us. Katie in 92. Maya in 74. Me in 81. Over and over, different years, different decades, but always us. The air reeked of dust and something faintly sweet, like old flowers left to rot in a vase. "No," Katie whispered, backing toward the wall. "No, no, no. Don't look," Maya told her firmly. "Don't touch anything. Just keep moving." Her voice was steady, but her eyes darted like a trapped animal's. We crossed the gym in silence, the yearbook staring up like open graves. Halfway through, the sound started. At first, faint. Pages turning. Then louder. FFFFFH, FFFFFH. Hundreds of yearbooks flipping their own pages, all at once. The sound built into a storm, deafening. I clamped my hands over my ears. Katie screamed. Maya shoved us both forward. We burst through the far doors into the locker room. The sound stopped instantly. The silence after was almost worse. The locker room smelled of sweat and mildew, the air damp and heavy. The fluorescent tubes above buzzed weakly, flickering shadows across the dented lockers. Katie collapsed onto a bench, sobbing. We can't fight it. It's already decided. Maya knelt in front of her, gripping her shoulders hard enough to bruise. Listen to me. That's not true. Don't you see? It only takes us when we give in. When we accept it. Juniper crying in that room, Alex laughing like he always did, Caroline smiling when she shouldn't have, Nathan. She stopped, looking at me, realizing she didn't know what had happened to him. I swallowed. He was right next to me. Then the lights flickered. And he was gone. Maya's eyes hardened. Then we don't let go of each other. Not for a second. It can't take us if we hold on. Katie looked unconvinced, but she nodded faintly, tears streaking her face. We joined hands. 3 trembling links in a fragile chain. For a moment, it seemed to work. We walked slowly down the rows of lockers, our grip iron tight. The lights buzzed, flickered, but stayed on. No one vanished. Hope sparked in me, small but stubborn. Maybe we could beat it. Maybe. Then the lockers began to open. One by one, the metal doors creaked outward with groans that echoed like screams. Inside each, the same thing, yearbooks. Stacks of them, jammed onto shelves where Jim's shoes should have been. And from every open locker, voices. Our voices. Whispering, chanting, overlapping into a rising tide. Stay. 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 Katie shrieked, pulling free of our grip, covering her ears. No. Maya cried, reaching for her. But it was too late. The lights flickered, off, on. Katie was gone. The bench where she'd sat was empty, dust rising faintly where her body had been. Maya fell to her knees, screaming her name. I couldn't move. My ears still rang with the chorus from the lockers. Stay. 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 When Maya's sobs finally broke into ragged breaths, she looked up at me. Her eyes were red, her face streaked with tears and sweat. Eli, she whispered. It's just us now. The weight of it settled in my chest. Just us. And I couldn't shake the sick certainty that by dawn, it would be just me. We staggered out of the locker room and back into the hall. It was different again. The walls seemed closer. The lockers stretched taller, looming. The exit signs were gone. At the end of the hallway, a door stood ajar. Light spilled from within, warm and golden, like the sun at last. Maya squeezed my hand. That's it. That has to be it. We ran. But as we neared, I saw the plaque above the door. Room 101. A classroom. The light inside flickered. And faintly, from within. Nathan's voice. Calling my name. Nathan. My voice cracked as it left me. Maya gripped my hand tighter, almost painfully. Don't, she hissed. That's not him. But the voice floated out again, achingly familiar. Eli. Help me. Please. It wasn't just the words, it was the way he said them. That rasp at the end of his sentences, the way he always sounded out of breath when he ran too much in gym class. It was him. I took a step toward the door before I even realized it. Maya yanked me back. No. That's what it wants. Don't you get it? It's using him. Like it used Juniper. Like it used Alex. The golden light spilling from room 101 flickered, dimmed, then flared brighter, warm and inviting. And again, Eli. This time softer. Sadder. Almost, final. I could feel the fight tearing me apart. If I went in, maybe I could find him. Maybe he was alive in there, waiting. But if Maya was right? I turned to her. Her face was streaked with tears and dirt, but her eyes were steady, burning. "It's not him," she whispered. "Please, Eli. Stay with me. Don't let it trick you." Her grip trembled, but she didn't let go. We stood frozen at the threshold, the golden glow painting our faces. I don't know what might have happened if the other voice hadn't spoken. From deeper in the hall, faint, almost drowned out by the humming walls. "Eli." This time, it was Maya's voice. But Maya was right here. She heard it too. Her head whipped toward the sound, eyes wide. Then again, closer. "Eli." Another Maya. The real Maya's grip on my hand faltered. The school wasn't just tricking me anymore. It was tricking her. We staggered back from the door, away from the golden light of room 101, retreating into the hall that bent and pulsed like a living thing. Every classroom we passed, voices called our names. Caroline's voice, soft and eerie. Alex's laughter, warped. Katie's sobbing. Nathan's plea. The chorus rose, clawing at our ears. Maya shoved her fingers in her ears, shaking her head violently. "Don't listen. Don't listen." I tried, but it was impossible. The voices filled the air, vibrating in my bones. And then, without warning, every classroom door slammed open at once. A hurricane of pages erupted from within, yearbook pages, torn free, fluttering into the hall like a blizzard. They stuck to the walls, the lockers, the floor, until every surface was plastered with photographs of us. Smiling. Posed. Dead-eyed. Maya screamed. We ran blindly through the paper storm, our shoes slipping on glossy pages. The air smelled of mildew and ink. At last, we burst through a set of double doors and found ourselves in the library again. The storm of pages stopped the second we entered. The doors sealed shut behind us with a metallic clang. The silence was suffocating. Every computer screen glowed faintly now, though none were plugged in. Each one displayed the same thing. Class of 2025. And below it, 2 photos. Maya's. Mine. With empty captions, waiting for names. Maya collapsed into a chair, burying her face in her hands. "We're not leaving. We never were. This place, it's already written us in. All of us. It doesn't matter what we do." Her voice was flat, hollow, the fight draining from her. "No." I knelt in front of her, grabbing her wrists, forcing her to look at me. "Don't say that. That's what it wants. If you give up, it wins. You're still here. I'm still here. We're not written yet." Her eyes flickered with something, hope, or desperation, I couldn't tell. "Then what do we do?" she whispered. I didn't have an answer. But my eyes drifted to the librarian's desk, where a single yearbook sat open. Unlike the others, this one wasn't dusty or yellowed. It looked new. Fresh. On the page, a photo of Maya. Her face blurred, like the ink hadn't settled. Like the book was waiting for her to finish disappearing. I slammed the book shut. The lights flickered. When they came back, Maya was staring at me like I'd just committed murder. "Don't touch them," she hissed. "Don't you get it? Every time we touch them, it gets stronger." I backed away, my pulse hammering. She was right. Caroline had touched one. She was gone. But, hadn't she been vanishing already? I shook my head hard. "Then we don't touch anything. We find another way. A real way. Maya stood shakily, brushing tears from her cheeks. If there is one. We moved deeper into the library, past rows of silent bookshelves. That's when I saw it. At the far end of the library, where the windows should have shown the dark outside, there was a door. Not a real door. A wooden one, old-fashioned, set into the glass like it had grown there. On it, a brass plaque read, "Faculty only." The golden light leaked from the cracks around it, just like room 101. Maya stared. That wasn't here before. No, I said. My voice was hoarse. But maybe it's where this ends. She swallowed. Or maybe it's where it begins. The golden glow pulsed, beckoning. We were out of choices. I reached for the handle. The handle was cold. Too cold, like metal pulled from deep winter. For a moment, I hesitated, hand hovering inches away. My reflection in the brass plaque above it was warped, stretched, almost unrecognizable. Behind me, Maya whispered, "Don't." But the golden light spilling through the cracks grew brighter, warmer. It pressed against us like sunlight through a window, promising safety, escape. And I couldn't stop myself. I turned the handle. The door opened without resistance. And on the other side was a hallway. Not just any hallway, our hallway. The one outside the principal's office. Except it wasn't right. The walls were darker, wood-paneled like something out of the 1950s. The ceiling lights weren't fluorescent anymore but yellow bulbs, each dim and flickering, casting long, trembling shadows. The air smelled of chalk dust and cigarette smoke. We stepped inside. The door closed behind us with a soft click, like a teacher shushing a noisy class. When I glanced back, the door was gone. "Eli," Maya whispered, voice barely audible. "What is this place?" I shook my head. My chest felt tight, like the air itself was pressing against me. The hallway stretched too long, the principal's office at the far end, door opened just a crack. A faint glow leaked out, steady and waiting. As we moved closer, our footsteps didn't echo. They sank into the floor, muffled, as if the building were absorbing the sound. Halfway down, we passed a bulletin board. It was covered in photographs. Every class. Every decade. Black and white fading to color, then to digital prints. Students lined up, smiling stiffly, oblivious. And there, at the bottom, our class. The class of 2025. All of us were in the photo. Even those who had already vanished. Even Caroline, Katie, Nathan, Juniper, Alex. And there, in the back row, was me. Smiling. Maya tore the photo from the board, crumpling it in her fist. The hallway shook. The bulbs above us flared and popped, one after another, shattering glass onto the floor. She grabbed my arm. "Run." We sprinted, dodging shards, our breaths ragged. The open office door loomed closer, the glow brighter. And then, the whispers started again. Not from behind us. From the walls themselves. "You belong here. You always have. Stay. Stay." The wallpaper peeled as we ran, revealing layers beneath, more photographs. More yearbook pages. Our faces over and over, trapped in smiling poses. Maya ripped another free as we passed. The building screamed. We reached the office door and shoved it open. Inside was not an office. It was an endless room, lined with shelves. Yearbooks stacked from floor to ceiling, stretching further than sight allowed. The golden glow poured from nowhere and everywhere, bathing everything in sickly light. In the center stood a desk. Behind it, Principal Darden. Or something wearing his face. His smile was too wide, his teeth too many, his eyes hollow like ink blots. "Ah," he said, voice smooth and wrong. "The last two." Maya stiffened beside me. "What are you?" she spat. He chuckled. "I am tradition. I am memory. I am the weight of 4 walls and 1,000 last days. I am the keeper of what must be kept." He spread his hands across the desk, and yearbooks fluttered open on their own, pages turning in a storm of paper. No one leaves school forever. Not truly. They remain. Preserved. His inkblot eyes fixed on me. "You've done well, Eli. Very well. Would you like to see your page?" A yearbook slid forward across the desk, stopping just before me. It lay open to a photo. My photo. Still blurred, unfinished. The caption read, "Eli Harper, Class of 2025. My blood turned to ice. "Don't look at it," Maya shouted, slapping the book closed. Darden's smile widened until his jaw cracked. "You can't fight this," he murmured. "It is written. Always written." "Then we'll tear the pages out," Maya snapped, her voice breaking. She grabbed a stack of books from the nearest shelf and hurled them to the floor. They burst open, pages scattering. The golden light dimmed. Darden hissed, his many-teeth smile faltering. "Stop," he said, his voice losing its calm. "You'll ruin it." Maya grabbed another, ripping it down, and another. The shelves trembled. The yearbooks shivered as if alive, pages flapping in panic. "Eli," she screamed. "Help me." For a moment, I couldn't move. The photo of me still burned in my mind, unfinished, waiting. Then I lunged at the shelves, tearing yearbooks free, throwing them to the ground, stomping them underfoot. The room roared. The golden glow cracked, breaking apart into jagged streaks of shadow. Principal Darden's form flickered, his skin peeling into paper, his inkblot eyes dripping down his face. "You cannot leave," he shrieked. "You are mine." The walls began to collapse inward, shelves toppling, yearbooks pouring like waterfalls of paper. Maya grabbed my hand, yanking me toward a sliver of light in the distance. A doorway forming out of the collapsing chaos. "This way," she shouted. We ran, paper slashing our arms, the roar deafening, Darden's voice bellowing behind us. "Stay! Stay!" The light grew brighter, blinding. We dove through. And landed in the gym. Empty. Silent. Morning sunlight spilled through the high windows, warm and real. The chairs were still set up for graduation. The stage was ready. The yearbooks were gone. Maya gasped, clutching her knees, her breath ragged. "We made it," she whispered. "We actually." But I wasn't so sure. Because when I looked up at the clock above the gym doors, it read 4:12. And the second hand twitched. The twitch of the clock's second hand made my stomach drop. Maya followed my gaze. When she saw the time, her lips parted in silent horror. "No," she whispered. "It's morning. The sun's out. It can't still be." But the clock insisted. 4:12, frozen. Waiting. We stood there, motionless, like if we didn't breathe, the hands wouldn't move. Like maybe if we ignored it, we could trick time back into working again. Then, tick. Backward. The sound was louder than a gunshot in the silence of the gym. Maya stumbled back as if struck. It's not over, I said, my voice low, flat. The words didn't even feel like mine. It's never over. We tried the doors again. The sunlight beyond the glass looked normal now, cars in the parking lot, the row of maples swaying in the breeze. Maya shoved against the handle. It didn't budge. She kicked it, slammed it, pounded with both fists until her knuckles split. Nothing. On the other side, I could see students arriving for graduation rehearsal. My classmates. Us. Me. Maya. Nathan. All of us walking in, laughing, alive. And in the gym behind us, the chairs filled with yearbooks. One on every seat. Open. Waiting. Maya turned to me, her face ghost pale, streaked with blood from her raw knuckles. Eli, what if this is it? What if this is all we get? A loop. A circle. Trapped here forever. Her voice cracked, breaking under the weight of it. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. That we could fight it, like we had in the library. But my throat closed around the words. Because deep down, I already knew the truth. The school didn't just trap us. It fed on us. Every year, a new crop of students to preserve, to bind in its pages, to keep the halls alive. We weren't leaving because no one ever had. The air in the gym shifted. A faint rustle rose, like wind through leaves. The yearbooks on the chairs were turning pages on their own. One by one, they stopped. Each open to a different student. A face from our class. Juniper. Alex. Katie. Nathan. Caroline. Andre. Jared. All smiling. All trapped. And then two more books fluttered open in the front row. Mine. Maya's. Our photos blurred, half-formed. The captions waited, lines blank, hungry for names. Maya backed toward the stage, shaking her head. No. No, I won't. I won't give it to them. Her eyes were wild, darting around the room. Then she saw it, Principal Darden's podium. The microphone. The heavy wood gavel he always banged at assemblies. She grabbed the gavel and raised it high. If it wants us written, then I'll tear the whole damn book apart. Maya, wait. But she didn't. She brought the gavel down hard on the nearest yearbook. The room screamed. Not just the building, the air itself. A high-pitched, piercing shriek that made my ears bleed. The gym lights exploded, raining sparks. The yearbooks snapped shut in unison. Then, one by one, they burst open again, pages flying out, whirling into the air like blades. I threw myself behind a chair, shielding my face. Paper sliced across my arms and hands, hot lines of blood welling. Through the storm, I saw Maya standing in the center of the gym, swinging the gavel wildly, smashing books, tearing pages, screaming curses at the school itself. You don't own us. Her voice was raw, feral. And for a moment, I believed her. The storm faltered, the pages slowing, the books trembling. But then the clock above the doors ticked again. Tick. Backward. And Maya froze. Her photo in the front row yearbook sharpened, solidifying. The smile clicked into place. The caption inked itself. Maya Lee, class of 2025. I screamed her name. The gavel slipped from her fingers. Her body stiffened. And then, she was gone. The storm stopped instantly. Every page fell limp to the floor. The gym was silent again. I staggered forward, tripping over fallen yearbooks, until I reached the chair where her book lay open. Her photo stared up at me. smiling. Forever. Tears blurred my vision. My hands shook so badly I couldn't close the book. I dropped it and stumbled back. I was the last one. The last student left. And I knew the school wouldn't stop until it had me too. The clock ticked backward again. 4:12. Always 4:12. The second hand twitched, waiting. And I realized then, this wasn't just a trap. It wasn't just about preserving us. It was about repetition. Reliving the last day over and over. Every time, the school pulling us deeper into its walls. Until we didn't even remember fighting. Until we were just another smiling face in a yearbook. My knees buckled. My head dropped into my hands. And for the first time, I wanted to give in. But then, something moved. Not in the gym. On the stage. The curtain trembled, though no air stirred. And a voice, softer than a breath, whispered my name. Eli. Not Nathan. Not Maya. Someone else. And it was coming from behind the curtain. The curtain swayed like it was breathing. My feet moved before my brain decided anything. Each step up the stage felt heavier, the wooden stairs groaning like they didn't want me climbing. The gym was silent now, except for the faint creak of the clock hand jerking backward again. Eli. The voice seeped through the fabric. Close. Waiting. I reached out and gripped the curtain. The velvet was rough, damp with something that made my skin crawl. For a second, I froze. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back. To run. To sit down and let the school finish what it had started. But my hand yanked the curtain aside anyway. Behind it was, a classroom. Not a stage, not ropes or lights, just a regular classroom. Rows of desks, a chalkboard at the front. The smell of dust and old paper hit me like a wall. Except every desk had a student sitting in it. All the ones who had vanished. Juniper. Alex. Katie. Nathan. Caroline. Andre. Jared. Maya. They sat perfectly still, facing forward, hands folded on their desks like obedient children. Their eyes were open, but glassy, empty, staring straight through me. The chalkboard behind them read, in curling white letters. Class of 2025. Present. My knees went weak. No, I whispered. No, no, no. Nathan's head turned. Just slightly. His eyes met mine. For a flicker of a moment, they weren't empty. He blinked. His lips parted. Run. The word was ragged, desperate. Then his face smoothed back into glass. The whole class turned their heads in unison, the sound of their necks cracking like breaking pencils. They looked at me. And smiled. I stumbled backward, nearly falling off the stage. The yearbooks in the gym snapped open again, all at once. Pages fluttered, riffling faster and faster. The storm was building again. But this time, it wasn't random. Every page turned to the same face. Mine. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of copies of me. Smiling. Crooked tie, awkward shoulders. All already written. Stop. I shouted, clutching my head. Stop. The storm didn't stop. It roared louder, the pages circling like vultures overhead. From the stage, the class spoke as one. Stay. 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 I ran. I don't even remember choosing where. My legs just carried me, out of the gym, down the endless hallways that bent and twisted into impossible angles. Every door I passed slammed open, wind howling from inside, sucking at my clothes and hair. Each classroom was the same: desks, chalkboards, photographs of me plastered on the walls. The buzzing of the lights was deafening. The clock at every intersection read 4:12. Always 4:12. The second hand jerked backward in time with my heartbeat. At last, gasping, I crashed through another set of doors. And found myself in the library again. Empty. Silent. Except for one desk in the middle. On it sat a single yearbook. Closed. Waiting. I staggered forward. My whole body shook, blood dripping from shallow cuts all over my arms. My chest heaved with every breath. The book was clean, unmarked. Its cover gleamed like it had just been printed. I reached out with trembling fingers. When I touched it, it opened on its own. To my photo. Finished now. Crisp, sharp. Smiling. Beneath it, the caption read: Eli Harper, Class of 2025. Something broke in me. I screamed, grabbed the book, and hurled it against the wall. It didn't fall. It hung in the air, suspended, pages fluttering like wings. The voice of Principal Darden filled the library, though he wasn't there. You cannot escape. You never do. You never did. This is your last day. It has always been your last day. The walls shuddered. Every shelf rattled, yearbooks spilling to the floor. Pages flapped, whispering my name in 1,000 voices. Eli. 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 I dropped to my knees, clutching my head, tears streaming down my face. And then, quiet. The storm stopped. I looked up. The yearbook had closed itself and drifted back down to the desk, landing with a soft thud. The lights above flickered once, twice. And then the intercom clicked on. Principal Darden's voice boomed, calm and rehearsed. Attention, students. Graduation rehearsal will begin shortly. Please make your way to the gymnasium. My heart froze. Because I could hear footsteps. Hundreds of them. Marching in unison down the hall. Getting closer. The footsteps drew nearer, synchronized, like a drumline. I backed into the shadows between shelves, pressing myself against the cold spines of old encyclopedias, trying to slow my breathing. The library doors swung open. And they filed in. Not strangers. Not new faces. Us. The class of 2025. All of us alive again, chattering, laughing, full of restless energy. Juniper adjusting her violet hair. Alex cracking a joke that made Andre double over. Katie fiddling with her phone. Nathan at my side, my other side, nudging me like he always did. And me. I watched myself walk in, grinning, alive. My duplicate slung his backpack onto a chair and flopped down like he owned the place. None of them saw me. It was like looking at ghosts. Or maybe I was the ghost. The group clustered around the back shelves, where Caroline was already tugging down a yearbook, brushing dust from the cover. This is crazy, I whispered to myself. It's starting again. My hands shook. My throat burned with the urge to scream, to warn them. But what would I say? Run. Don't open the book. I'd tried that in my head 100 times already. The school didn't care. It would play its loop until it got what it wanted. Caroline opened the yearbook. I shut my eyes. I couldn't watch them vanish all over again. But I heard it, her sharp gasp. The confused murmurs of the others crowding around. And then silence, like the building holding its breath. I opened my eyes. Caroline was gone. The others looked around, confused, unsettled, but already forgetting. Their attention shifted as easily as a page turning. I staggered out from between the shelves before I could stop myself. No. My voice cracked, ragged. Don't you see what's happening? It's the books, it's the school, it's all of this. We're trapped. Dozens of eyes turned to me. And for a flicker, I thought maybe this time, they would listen. But then my duplicate stepped forward, tilting his head. His grin spread too wide. You shouldn't be here, he said in my voice. The others echoed him. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. Their voices overlapped, building, rising into a chorus that made the shelves tremble. I stumbled back. No. No, I'm real. I'm the real one. But they were already advancing, their smiles stretching into something paper-thin, faces flattening like photographs. One by one, their skin crinkled, their clothes faded to black and white. And then they weren't people anymore. They were yearbook photos, peeling themselves from invisible pages, walking toward me on stiff legs, arms reaching. I ran. The library doors slammed shut behind me, but I barreled through the hallways, lungs burning, shoes slipping on polished tile. The fluorescent lights buzzed and flickered, stuttering like a heartbeat. Every clock I passed read 4:12. Every locker door banged open, slamming shut again, papers flying like confetti. And always, behind me, the echo of footsteps. Hundreds of them. Chasing. I turned a corner and froze. The hallway ended in mirrors. Floor to ceiling, wall to wall, an impossible corridor of glass. And in every reflection, I saw myself. Not just one self. Hundreds. Thousands. Different years, different clothes, different smiles. Some black and white, some in faded Polaroid tones, some in glossy high definition. All of them staring back at me. None of them moved like I did. One lifted its hand when I didn't. Another blinked too slowly. A third smiled while the rest stayed blank. And then, in perfect unison, they all spoke. Stay. The glass shivered. I backed away, heart hammering. My shoulder struck something solid. I spun. Principal Darden stood there, impossibly tall now, his suit stretched, his face melted into paper folds. His eyes were two black pools of ink dripping down his cheeks. You've run long enough, Eli, he said calmly. It's time to graduate. He lifted a massive yearbook, its cover embossed with Class of 2025. It glowed. He opened it. My page was waiting. I screamed and lunged at him, slamming the book shut with all the force in me. The building roared. The mirrors exploded, shards raining like knives. Darden staggered, his paper flesh tearing, pages spilling from his body instead of blood. I grabbed one of the shards of glass, its edge cutting into my palm, and raised it. If you want me in your book, I shouted, my voice raw, you'll have to write me in yourself. And I drove the shard into the yearbook. Light. Blinding, searing. The building screamed. Pages tore free from every wall, every locker, every clock. The air filled with a cyclone of photographs, burning, curling to ash before they hit the ground. Darden shrieked, his body unraveling into strips of paper, his ink eyes splattering across the floor. The world shook, split, dissolved into white. And then... silence. I opened my eyes. I was standing outside. The sun was warm on my skin. Birds chirped. Cars rolled through the parking lot. Students streamed toward the gym, laughing, smiling, alive. Nathan jogged past me, nudging my shoulder. "Come on, man. We're gonna be late for rehearsal." He didn't notice the blood on my hands. Didn't notice the shard of glass I still clutched. Didn't notice that the clock tower above the school read 4:12. I stood frozen at the edge of the parking lot, the laughter of my classmates carrying on the warm summer air like nothing had happened. But I knew better. The shard of glass dug into my palm, sharp enough to draw blood, anchoring me in the reality of what I'd seen. What I'd survived. Or thought I had. Because the clock above the school still read 4:12. Always 4:12. The second hand twitched backward. "Eli." Nathan's voice broke through the haze. He jogged back to me, grinning, carefree, alive. The same as he'd always been. Like he hadn't vanished in front of me. Like he hadn't begged me to run. "Dude, you good? You look like you've seen a ghost." I opened my mouth. The words stuck. How could I explain? How could I tell him he was the ghost? That all of them were. That maybe I was too. Instead, I whispered, "We shouldn't go in." Nathan frowned. "What are you talking about?" "It's rehearsal, man. One last day before we're free." His words twisted in my gut. One last day. How many times had I heard that now? How many last days had there been? I glanced back at the building. The doors were open, sunlight spilling inside. The hum of the lights faintly drifted out, patient, beckoning. I could run. I could drop the shard, turn my back, keep walking. Let them all file inside and start the loop again without me. Maybe that was my escape. Maybe the only way to win was to leave them behind. But I knew the truth even as I thought it. The school didn't let anyone leave. Not really. And if I ran, it would follow. It always followed. "Eli." Nathan's voice was softer now, concerned. He reached out and put a hand on my shoulder. Warm. Solid. Alive. I stared at him, at the boy I'd grown up with, the boy who had vanished before my eyes in a cafeteria that no longer existed. I thought about Maya, smashing books with the gavel, screaming that she wouldn't be owned. I thought about Caroline, camera flashing, the way she'd smiled when the school spoke through her lips. I thought about every smiling face in those yearbooks, stretching back decades. Preserved. Trapped. Forgotten by everyone but the building itself. No. Not me. I tightened my grip on the shard of glass until blood ran down my wrist. Nathan flinched. "Whoa, dude, you're bleeding." I smiled, a broken, defiant smile. "Yeah," I said. "But I'm still here." And before I could lose my nerve, I turned and sprinted toward the school. The gym was waiting. Empty again. Silent again. The chairs were arranged neatly. The stage stood proud. And every seat had a yearbook. All open to my page. Dozens of me, smiling, finished, waiting. The second hand on the clock jerked backward. Tick. I screamed and hurled the shard of glass into the nearest book. It split down the middle, pages tearing, ink bleeding like fresh wounds. The others began to curl, blacken, burst into flames. The air filled with smoke and ash. The school roared in fury, the lights flickering until they burst, showering sparks. I tore through row after row, ripping, smashing, burning every photo of myself I could reach. The gym shook, the floor cracking beneath me. The clock screamed, its hands spinning wildly, forward, backward, shattering time itself. And through the smoke, I heard them. Juniper. Alex. Caroline. Maya. Nathan. Their voices, not hollow this time. Free. The last yearbook curled into ash at my feet. The roar of the building died to silence. The clock above the doors shattered, raining down shards. And for the first time, the second hand was gone. I collapsed onto the gym floor, coughing, choking, sobbing. Sunlight streamed through the high windows. Real sunlight. Warm. Alive. The doors at the back of the gym creaked open. And beyond them, the world waited. The real world. I staggered to my feet. My legs shook. My hands bled. My body was broken. But I walked forward anyway. Through the doors. Out of the school. Into freedom. Behind me, the building groaned. For the first time, it felt old. Weak. Mortal. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of it. That was the last day of school. The day I didn't stay. The day I refused to be written. The day I finally left.